So, Grace, can you give two thumbs up for coffee?
Yeah, I love coffee. Coffee is amazing.
Hey, everyone. So, I'm really excited to talk to Grace Ling today. Grace is a UX Design Intern who is currently working at EA. Outside of that, she founded an inclusive design community of almost 4,000 members in under 3 months through organic growth. Since graduating, Grace has spoken at several large profile events, including AIGA Design's event on how to network when you can't do it in person, which had more than 1,000 attendees, and also she's spoken at Worldwide Creators Conference, where several hundred people heard her talk on how to build your personal brand and network. In addition, she's also spoken at the Figma meetup and Pakistan Tech Summit about learning design from an unconventional path earlier last month in June. On the side, she's also an admin of Intern Club, a community dedicated to interns and internship seekers, and is also a design mentor at Augment, a community of intern leaders. So, Grace, thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. Can you tell our listeners a little more about your background, what you studied in college, and how you ultimately became interested and involved in the design space?
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm Grace, and a little bit more about my background is that growing up, I really enjoyed drawing and storytelling. I dreamed of becoming an anime artist and a game designer, and I was never really focused on school. I've always loved entertaining people, making others laugh. I was a class clown and never really cared about my grades. And then in high school, I ran cross country and track. I got really into it. I made it to nationals a few times, and really got really interested in running, which led me to my undergrad major in college of bioengineering, where I came into college as an aspiring neurosurgeon with the MD PhD, doing research in how neuroscience relates to artificial intelligence and how that relates to reducing pain and running. So my initial goal of learning bioengineering was to learn how to biohack myself to run faster because I had dreams of running in the Olympics. However, after 6 stress fractures in 2 years, I realized it's time to pick another career. And I was still pre-med, I was still doing research in the bioengineering lab, doing research in gene therapy, working with the MD PhD professor. After 2 years of doing research, I realized that I was always looking forward to go home. And my favorite part of research was actually taking photos of my cells that I cultivated in lab and overlaying them in Photoshop to make them look pretty for publication purposes. So I knew I probably wasn't on the right path. And I was really, to be honest, doing research for my resume, which I do not recommend anyone doing, no matter how good it looks on your resume. And then kind of forward 2 years into college, about 2018, I was a junior. And then I discovered this virtual reality lab opened up at my college, Santa Clara University. So I started looking into game design and I taught myself how to 3D model and how to design my own 3D game. I made a virtual reality game originally to gamify biology and to make learning fun. It's called Selfie, spelled Cellfie. They're just like the cells in biology, but pronounced selfie, like you're taking a selfie, where you become a cell in VR and learn. So I really loved gamifying biology and making learning fun and more engaging. And I loved bringing personalities, bringing inanimate objects to life. And after working in game design and computer science for a few years, about 2 years, and doing a few internships, and creating Selfie led to my internship last summer at Intuitive Surgical, where I interned as a virtual reality robotic surgery game developer. And there I made games to train surgeons to practice surgery, which really ties into my interest of becoming a neurosurgeon. However, after after my internship ended, I started grad school in computer science and engineering at the same school, Santa Clara University. And after a few months of studying computer science, I kind of realized I was actually really interested in design, but always kind of lost where to start. So around October 2019, which is during my first quarter of grad school, I was browsing Facebook one day and I found this course posted on a Facebook group called Students Who Design. So I joined the class. It was like a free 10-week live online course about design. And it changed my life essentially. I learned the design process and I did my first design project, and I finally had a supportive community that I can trust and get feedback on and help me develop my career. And so flash forward to January this year, 2020, I've tried applying for internships in UX and product design. For the next 5 months, I had no luck because of my lack of experience, being rejected, and also my lack of connections in industry. So I applied to about 26 places, but got ghosted by 20 of them. And so me, kind of feeling lost, I took into networking. I worked with my mentor, and he encouraged me to reach out to UX design directors, product design directors on LinkedIn, and have coffee chats with them. And I learned about their background, their stories, and it would help me too as a beginner designer, getting more perspectives in industry. And that is how I got my internship today at Electronic Arts without applying. It was purely through networking on LinkedIn. So currently, I'm working at EA as a UX design intern while running my design community, Design Buddies, on the side and seeing the continued growth and seeing how it helps a lot of other designers. And I'm really passionate about inspiring others, especially to pursue things that people told them not to pursue, because that's kind of what driven my path to design is by not listening to professors who told me I shouldn't pursue design. I went ahead and started the largest design community in the world and landed an internship at a large gaming company.
That's really awesome. Going against the grain and not listening to your professors and then also proving them wrong too. So it seems like you had a really diverse set of interests, ranging from engineering to illustration to game design and even pre med. Can you tell me a little bit about how you ultimately knew you wanted to work in design?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to pursue something more creative. I've always enjoyed humanities and art more so than I did my science and math classes when growing up at school. However, growing up in Silicon Valley, I was always told that I should pursue doctor, engineer, lawyer as my career path. And it really took a lot of soul searching and really thinking about what I really want to do and kind of just ignoring all these like societal pressures of whatever it's classified as prestigious or not, and just kind of following my own path. And I've always loved storytelling. And my background in computer science and technology, I realized I can combine both my storytelling and art and illustration background and visual design with technology to pursue UX design. And so I found a passion for UX design and a career I really love to do. After so many different career changes, I feel like I finally found what I'd like to do. And how I found that out is I did a lot of internships in different fields relating to medicine. I shadowed doctors. I worked in research labs. I worked in software engineering. I worked as a camp counselor. I worked as a game counselor, a game teacher, a math tutor. I worked a lot of different types of jobs since high school. And I also was really into social media and blogging and kind of getting interest in that field as well. So all these different experiences I've had growing up helped shape what I wanted to do in my career today.
So I think that's a really good way to look at it. I think a lot of our listeners probably are running into that same struggle where if you're in high school or college or even after college, you're not sure what you want to study or major in. I remember when I was applying to college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So in high school, I applied to schools as a business and music major, and in college, I was confused about what I wanted to do after I graduated. So I hopped from major to major and ultimately landed on three different programs. Even after college, I think a lot of people struggle with what type of field they want to stay in. So I guess for you, do you have any advice for students who have so many different interests that it's hard for them to pick one?
I do actually. And I really strongly like to encourage the fact that you're not limited by your major. I majored in bioengineering, but I am doing nothing related to it. Your major does not determine your career path. A lot of times designers, they come from all sorts of different majors because design is strongly interdisciplinary. So it's really important to have all these perspectives taken account of to create accessible and inclusive solutions in design. So it's not wrong to come from a non-traditional design school. I narrowed down to what I like to do by doing a lot of internships and work experiences, by living the daily life of how it's like to work in certain career fields. And I realized how um, by doing internships, I've learned to see whether I can see myself doing this job for long term. I also did a lot of informational interviewing. I would ask people about what's their favorite part about their job, what motivates them, how are people liking their company, how's their company culture like, and how they got to where they are today and learning their stories and really understanding how it's like working in that career path. So joining communities helps you meet a lot of new people, which will open you to a lot of new perspectives and help you figure out what you want to do as well by getting to know their story and seeing how their career is like and seeing how you might fit into that or not fit into that. So joining design communities gets you access to a network, but also access to resources, fun events, and a nice support system you can have while starting a journey in anything you're interested in pursuing.
That's really valuable advice. Even for people who are out of college and working in another field in a different job, don't be afraid to pursue your passion. I attended a boot camp 4 years ago, and I remember people who were in their 60s who were in my class looking to transition from a different field. So it's never too late. The best way, really, though, I think, is to try new things and test the waters through different internships or jobs, as you said, Grace. For all our listeners, if you're looking to transition into design from a different field, there's a lot of opportunity because the field of design is so interdisciplinary and allows you to bring in your experience from a different field. So, my question for you, Grace, is for people coming out of boot camps or for those that are self studying, what are some of the things that you think are keeping designers from landing their first job or internship?
Yeah, so landing an internship from a non-design background was quite a long process. It was especially hard because I personally came from a non-design background and I felt scared to reach out to other designers just because I didn't major in it. But I want you all to know that you don't need anyone's permission to reach out to designers or pursue design. Just do whatever you want. And for me, it was a long process because when I applied to a lot of jobs, I applied to large companies like relating to gaming and social media, but I got ghosted by so many companies because I didn't have any connections in that industry or company in design because of my engineering background. So for me, it was purely through networking how I landed my internship. But networking for me wasn't always something I was used to, something I was familiar with. And coming from an engineering background, I felt like an underdog. And I've been applying for internships about 5 months. And since January till May, and in all these 5 months, I got ghosted by most companies I applied to. I also applied to like large social media and gaming companies and didn't really have any connections in industry. So that led to my application being ghosted. And on the side, I really enjoy building online communities and joining online communities. One of them I'm part of is one of the spin-offs of a Subtle Asian group. It was called Subtle Asians Bay Area. And that's how I met my mentor. My mentor is a senior recruiter, and he asked me what I was struggling with. And I told him that I was getting ghosted left and right. So we hopped on a Zoom call and he gave me like this advice that changed my life. He told me that I could reach out to UX design directors, product design directors on LinkedIn. I would search these titles and filter by company and filter by location at places I was interested in working at. And I would add all of them, send a personalized message request introducing myself, a little bit about my goals, like I want to pursue UX design. And I would say, I would love to learn about how you got to where you are today, because people love talking about themselves, which helps open up the conversation to coffee chats. So I sent about 400 connection requests over the span of 2 months. And how I did it was that I would keep adding these people, looking at their profile, finding things in common, and emphasizing that in my personalized connection request. And I also add their suggestions, people that I thought would be good to talk to. And eventually I had about 30 coffee chats, and that's how I met my current manager at Electronic Arts. And that's how I got in my foot in the door at Electronic Arts as a UX design intern today.
That's awesome. I think that grit and that hustle is just so well respected in the industry today. The personalized messages are great too because it helps the people you're messaging feel special and that you're not sending the same generic message to every single person. I remember when I did the same thing back when I was a sophomore in college. There was a job listing for a web design internship that I was really into, so I messaged the poster directly on LinkedIn. And apparently, after I got the position, he told me that he was really impressed with my self motivation to reach out to him. outside of that internship platform, and that he had ultimately picked me over people who were applying from MIT or Harvard or even Ivy Leagues, or even those with more experience than what I had at the time. It shows that if you're willing to put in the drive and the time into standing out, people really do notice. So that's really cool. I guess now, can you tell us, our listeners, a little bit about what you're doing at EA?
Yes, so I can't go into too many details because of NDA, but essentially I work on player support systems, and the first project I'm the first project I'm working on is redesigning the whole EA Help homepage. I'm working on two more exciting projects in the works, and I can't talk about them yet because they're not out yet.
So, for those of us who don't know what player support is, can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah, so player support is sometimes if you run into connection issues during a game, your account got hacked, or you find help through that website. So player support works on products to help players get the help they need.
Yeah, that's a really important part of the player experience that many people don't really consider. So if you guys are missing virtual in-game currency, hit up Grace.
Thank you.
All right. So I know you didn't really go through any type of formal design program or education, but do you have any type of advice for people who are looking for jobs right now? What are some of the things people can do right now to stand out or gain more experience as a job seeker?
One thing I didn't mention during my intro is that I actually did about 7 hackathons/design challenges from January till May, which helped me practice what I learned through Students Who Design and keep practicing design process and working with a team and iterating upon feedback. So these skills, these designs process skills are what you need to do essentially on the job. So by doing events, working with a team, it's really motivational to keep working at it. So if you're kind of stuck in your career, I would recommend going to hackathons, going to design challenges, and working with a team to help motivate you to keep working hard and learning a lot from that. And I also think a lot of times people struggle with networking. Sometimes, especially for me, coming from my own personal experience, with me with no formal like official certificate or official like degree or any sort of like certificate or any proof of completion of any program, I felt very like I had imposter syndrome, and it like prevented me from reaching out to a lot of people at first. But then I realized that a lot of times people just want to help. I feel like design community in general is a lot nicer than other communities from my past experiences in engineering. And I realize a lot of designers are so friendly, especially on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Slack, on Discord, and Facebook groups. They just want to uplift other people because design is so diverse. Everyone's opinion is equal value is just as valuable. So really reach out to designers because compared to other industries, those are like the nicest people I ever met on the internet and in my career.
That's great. I think you're completely right on point there. Designers, I think, as a profession, designers are empathetic, so they can easily put themselves in the shoes of those that are going through hardships right now. And now that everything's appended with design conferences and hackathons and all these networking sessions remote, I still think there's a lot of opportunity to network online and practice new skills and really put yourself out there in a situation where you're not really comfortable, you're out of your comfort zone so that you can continue learning. So, advice for any job seekers out there: keep your head up, keep applying, and keep learning. I think that advice you gave for those that are out of a boot camp or for those that are self-studying is really good advice. So you mentioned your interest and your passion, and there seems to be a lot going on in your life right now. How do you juggle everything that's going on?
So I learned a lot through my time in undergrad. When I was super focused on trying to get the best grades I could, I would often study up to 12 hours a day in a library on my pre-med classes, on my science engineering classes. I burned myself out a lot, and I discovered balance. I reached a point where I just wasn't motivated, and I started taking time off to go hiking, spending more time with friends, and stop worrying too much about grades and being perfect all the time. So I learned balance, and which leads me to today. I really like to do something that makes me happy every day, whether that be hanging out with friends, drawing, going outside, running, just making that time in your schedule to do something you look forward to every single day. That could also be your job. If you love design, you design. And for me, I love design. So like I love my job. So do something that makes you happy every day. They look forward to not burn yourself out so it can be productive long term. And also, I like to schedule everything. I keep everything organized on Notion. Not sponsored, but I love Notion because it helps me organize all my notes. It's so easy to add. I also keep everything on Google Calendar. Whenever I schedule meetings with people, I always request they give me a Google Calendar invite. Otherwise, I do not remember it because it's way too many to keep track of. Just to, for example, I do about over 15 coffee chats a week with people reaching out to me on LinkedIn or on all the social media platforms. So I really need this calendar invite or put it immediately on my calendar in order for me to remember it. And lastly, I like to thank coffee because coffee is the first thing I drink, I consume, or I create every single morning. I start my morning, make myself a cup of coffee, and I get straight to work. So shout out to coffee.
So, Grace, can you give 2 thumbs up for coffee?
Yeah, I love coffee. Coffee is amazing.
All right. So, I'm going to shift gears a bit and talk about something you started 3 months ago. You probably know what it is. So, Design Buddies, that's a community you started in April, right? And
Yeah.
at this point, you've grown it to almost 4,000 members since the pandemic took over. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about the motivation behind starting it and what your plans are for Design Buddies moving forward?
So I started Design Buddies because when I was starting out in design, I felt really scared to reach out to other designers. I felt like an underdog and I felt really intimidated. And then I realized that I wasn't alone in feeling that way. So I built Design Buddies using the term buddies because I want everyone to be buddies with each other as a way to help designers connect and learn from each other. It's since grown to nearly 4,000 people in 3 months, and I'm super excited to see it grow. Design Buddies actually started as a messenger chat. I posted in this Facebook group called Asian Creative Network one day this year, asking if anyone wanted to start a messenger chat relating to design. About 100 people commented on my thread, so I created a messenger chat, and then soon it grew, and then I created Discord to keep things with channels with more organization. And after creating the Discord, it blew up a lot. It started from about 150 all the way till nearly 4,000 right now. So another strategy I did when creating Design Buddies is I'm also part of about 30 design Slack channels, also like 30 Facebook groups, and a lot of design communities. And I noticed some of them weren't very active or some of them were active, but I was scared to talk in them. And I took what didn't work in these communities and I fixed them in Design Buddies. So Design Buddies is also a UX project. I always took in user feedback internally, but I also did a lot of market research of other design communities. And I UX'd it to improve it, to keep improving it, kind of iterating upon it, listening to feedback. And that's how Design Buddies was able to grow so much, is because people always see new things happening there. Yeah, so when I moved to Discord, it continued to grow and grow. And a lot of people would share the Design Buddies with their friends. And that's how we were able to reach organic growth so quickly, because people just shared it with their own community. And I also shared it on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is amazing because it's relatively easy to go viral, because once your connections comment on your post, their connections will see it. So some of my posts have gotten over 70,000 views. And that's also helped the growth of Design Buddies. It's just going viral on LinkedIn and having people tell, and also having members of Design Buddies tell Design Buddies to their own communities as well.
Honestly, to grow a community from 150 to 4,000 over the course of 3 months is super, super impressive. And as a member too, I really like how the community is so inclusive and people aren't really afraid to share their thoughts. So, what are your plans for Design Buddies over the next few months and years?
So in the future, we definitely want to work on more programs to support designers getting the first job or improving their design skills or helping them feel more confident in design and helping them enjoy the career more. So we're starting a mentorship program. We're partnering with a lot of exciting organizations coming very, very soon to help facilitate that. We also have a lot of exciting partnerships with companies like Figma and organizations like Intern Club to do joint events, to have industry professionals speak and network with members of Design Buddies to help them learn and also expand their own network as well. So currently right now, we're featuring a lot of content creators, people who write articles on Medium relating to how to learn design or any useful tips for designers. We like to feature them on our social media. And we also started our blog. So we have people able to write content for design buddies, content to help designers. We're also enabling people, members of design buddies, to start anything they want. For example, you have a member who started her own book club in the channel. You have a member who started their own mentorship program in the channel to bridge the gap between boot camp and job. So I love empowering other creators and designers to help getting the community and support they need to build their own initiative to help to keep helping other designers as well. And Design Buddies is planning to continue to remain highly collaborative and supportive. And as always, I'm always taking in feedback. We have a server feedback channel. We also have anonymous feedback forms, so I can take in feedback to keep improving Designing Buddies as the best way as possible. And I'd like to shout out to my wonderful admin team. We're 10 admins currently, but we're onboarding about 10 more as we continue to grow. We need more help to help direct programs and keep our outreach going and keeping the community healthy as it continues to grow at a rapid pace. So really shout out to my admins to help keep the community running as they handle a full-time internship and all my extracurriculars as well.
That's awesome. So it seems like there's a lot of exciting stuff in the works, and I'm super excited to keep up with everything you're doing with Design Buddies as well as in your own professional life. So we're definitely coming up towards the end here. I know you're still very early in your formal design journey, but can you think of some goals that you have for yourself both professionally and personally?
Yes, I do have a lot of goals. My goals always change depending on what I've learned through the process of pursuing these goals. For now, I plan to continue working in the social media, gaming, entertainment tech space. And I definitely have goals to grow Design Buddies a lot and keep it. And the goal for Design Buddies I have and all the other admins have is to become the largest designing community in the world, started by a student before she became an intern. Because I also noticed a lot of design communities are started by senior level designers, and I love to send a message saying that you don't need to be of certain status to start anything you want. So that also really encourages me to keep working on Design Buddies to help spread that message. And professionally for me, I plan to, another side project I have is my art business called Candyleaf Designs. I table at anime conventions. I make pins like a bunny family, I make enamel pins to sell at anime conventions and online. As a fun side hustle I have, I love designing and illustrating. And just to explore another fun creative side. And I plan to keep working on that very casually. Yeah, so for my main career, I definitely want to keep pursuing design, and I'm particularly interested in the gaming, social media, and entertainment space, and I really want to keep practicing my design and management and leadership skills to see how far that can take me. And because I want to be able to work on a lot of projects that are able to positively impact a lot of people.
So it's great to have those goals for yourself, and it's very motivating to set those so you can track your progress over time. It's also good that they're always changing and you're looking back at them as well. Looking back when I was in college or more of a junior designer, those goals have shifted where now I have a completely different set of goals. So it's good that we're both constantly reevaluating our goals. And also super cool designs, by the way, Candyleaf designs. I'll
Thank
drop a
you.
link to your shop down below in the description box, but if people want to connect with you, where can people find you? I know you mentioned LinkedIn. I'll drop that link in the description box as well as my own if you guys want to connect with us. But where else can people find you?
Yes, so I'm basically on all social media platforms. I'm most active on LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter. And you can always join Design Buddies and DM me on Discord as well.
Awesome. And we'll throw those links in the description box below so that if you want to connect with either one of us, you're able to do so. And of course, huge shout out to Design Buddies too. And we'll put that Discord invite link down there as well. So, Grace, I want to thank you for your time. And if you guys are interested in hearing more content like this, feel free to drop a like and click the subscribe button. And we'll check back with Grace in a few months.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on.